Okay, so Zack Snyder was planning a sort of a 7-part story, or six or whatever. It was really thought out as to cover a whole spectrum of comics. With BVS, you could get a sense when you stop it of all the it was bringing in a lot of the comic lores, and if you were a comic reader, you would have spotted it. And of course, the nightmare scene was definitely, the Injustice storyline that's happening just now. The Injustice game and everything else. It was a fantastic bit. But he also wanted to expand the, on that sort of theory. Now there was always that talk about the Flash and coming back, and how Flash, where did who built the suit? Was it Batman? Was it Cyborg? And what version of Earth's future was it coming from? And what did he mean when he said fear him and stuff like that? And there was some cut scenes from the Justice League, dark or very dark or whatever. And there's some evidence that came to light that it actually meant that it was referring to Darkseid. And if we can take for a minute that Flash had managed to travel through time, so so that must have meant there might have been a treadmill involved, and that he was coming back to warn Bruce that he was going to, not only was he to warn about Clark and how Lois Lane was the one to save Superman and bring him back to the fold, to the light, but it was also meaning to be aware of the real darkness, the real evil, which was Darkseid. And if Zack Snyder had managed to make those movies, of course it would have repaid some. He would have, maybe in a movie or two, he would have came back to that Flash moment when he time travelled, and then he would have seen the Flash making that mistake, and then some point getting to the right time of where he wanted, and then coming back to that world which is where he came from. So if that was the case, then there were so many great possibilities of where Zack Snyder's vision was going to. But sadly enough, not a lot of people were ready for that. It would have been films before its time. And right now, for me, I think you had to maybe get the popularity going for the movies first, and then at a later stage go back and then do those sort of stories. And then it would have been more acceptable. But who knows? I've got a feeling, further down the line, BVS is still talked about just now. Further down the line, we may, people may think about BVS as that sort of iconic sort of movie, just like Blade Runner. And even though there is all that talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, it may never be the version of what Zack Snyder really intended for, because he wanted a 2-parter, he wanted a 7-parter. We never got to answer what did the 7 mean. You remember those posters? Unite the 7 and stuff like that. We never really got to know that, because that was a part of his sort of story going forward in all those movies. But at least if there is a Snyder cut that gets released, at least then we'll have sort of a end of story to his vision. We'll have some sort of it'll be a closure, even though we never got that 7-parter or 6-part movie that he was planning. At least this way he gets to somehow tie it up, and it'll be the closest thing to a lot of Snyder fans that we'll ever get. And it's best not to dwell on what would have been and what, because if you start going down that line, then you'll just regret it. And you'll start thinking that would have been awesome, and you'll start to hate the stuff that we have just now. So it's time, really, for, I think, for us all to, yes, we accept that his visions and whatever, they would have been good. They would have been a good dynamic. They would have been a different way of looking at it. But the more we delve into these scenarios, and the more it's more we regret what we have. Now, as I've said before in my other video, let's hope that Zack Snyder, with all these posts, is basically tweeting or showing pictures of stuff that he intends to somehow release to us. Otherwise, he is doing more damage than good. Or maybe, so it is sad, but yes, we are enjoying your pictures. We are enjoying those things of what could have been. But unless there is planning to be some sort of cut that you'll be doing for us, we need to move on. And we may never get that darker version. But by what we seem to be getting just now with Shazam and Aquaman and Suicide Squad or Wonder Woman, his legacy is still getting carried on, if you look at it that way. Because without Zack, none of these great characters would have took off. Thanks very much.